Welcome to Downtown on BetsTV. I'm Gilles Gallant with FTM Bets and BetsTV. It's week 8. We're here every Sunday morning helping you make top quality decisions for your touchdown prop bets. And I want to welcome back my esteemed co-host Brenden Deeg, National Football Post head to toe in Eagles gear. Let's hope that they do not choke in Detroit today. And,
so at MGM right now, 82% of the money is on the Detroit Lions.
Oh wow! All right, so are we getting an upset special here?
I have a feeling Detroit's getting their first win today. It's probably the least motivated I've ever been to watch an Eagles game.
Oh boy. Trouble in Philly. I love it. Yeah. All right. And I've got an Eagles pick here coming up later in the show. Last week, we had a banner week, Brenden. I went 4-1. You went 2-3. Basically, we both ran off with profit. I ended up with 10 units of profit. I think you ended up with just a little bit over 2 units of profit. And that's what's the best part about this show is that some weeks it's my week, some weeks it's Brendan's week, or some weeks we just cash together. And that's the best part about it is it's not just my picks that are valuable. It's Brendan's as well because Brenden has been killing it. And he's got another couple long shots today, another maybe 2 touchdown score pick that I think is going to tickle people's fancies here. And before we get started with the touchdown picks, I want to remind you to check out my weekly show, Dog Day Afternoon. That's Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern on BetsTV. I had Elliot Christ, who is the COO of FTN Network. He was awesome. It helped me break down some week 8 picks and futures, maybe even gave some tips on how to break into the industry because he is one of the main voices in hiring people at the FTN. So, we're going to get started with the picks. I've got a week 1 pick, or week 1. What am I even talking about? We got a repeat pick here, Brenden. And in my first pick for week 8, Ryan Tannehill, we're going with him at anytime touchdown at plus 430. Just to let people know, I got this at FanDuel. It has since moved to plus 500. Still love it. I bet on him the last 2 weeks. He's cashed each time. He's my favorite quarterback to bet on. Again, I've kind of reiterated this last week because odds makers are still giving him what I would call pocket passer odds, kind of like Tom Brady or Matthew Stafford, but he's more athletic than them. And he also ran well versus the Colts since joining the Titans, 5 for 56 yards this season. He scored in Indy last year. And the Colts, while they haven't allowed a quarterback to score yet this year, quarterbacks are averaging just under 5 yards per carry. So it's not like quarterbacks are just getting stuffed at the line each time. And just like the last 2 weeks of why I bet on Tanny, the Colts are likely going to do everything they can to sell up the run and try to stop Derrick Henry, which I think plays in our favor. You know, the Bills and the Chiefs did the same thing. That left Tannehill alone to be able to scamper in for a touchdown. And I'd like to remind everybody as well is that his touchdowns do come in bunches because he did have 7 rushing touchdowns last year, and they were in a 5, and he had 5 in a 3-game stretch. So I think Tanny at plus 500, I'm going to ride him again after we cashed on him the last 2 weeks, Brenden.
Yeah, it was too easy for him last week. I think that was the first one you hit, right? It was like kind of right at the beginning of the
the 1 o'clock slate. It's one of those things like where you hope when you have the 1 p.m. slate, if you got 3 picks, like for example, each week, you hope one of them hits in the first half, and that did, and that basically set my day up to go on for a very nice profitable day.
It was an automatic bet when he was over plus 400 again. I knew you were going to hammer that one.
Well, against the Chiefs is one thing because the Chiefs have allowed so many opposing quarterbacks to rush for touchdowns this year. The Colts, it's a little bit more of a high-end battle here, but I just think that at these odds with his talent and capability and having a back like Henry, who is going to draw so much attention, I just feel like Tannehill is the best quarterback to bet this week. Mm-hmm. So that's my first pick, Ryan Tannehill at plus 430. He's available at plus 500 at FanDuel right now. Brenden, let's hear your first pick of week 8.
So I'm going to tailor kind of your first pick. I'm going with another Tennessee Titan. So Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, is that how we pronounce it?
I think it's Ikhine.
Sorry, I butchered that again. Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, anytime touchdown, plus 440. Look, this passing offense started getting going again. Ryan Tannehill has a passer rating of over 100 in 2 of the last 3 games. And when Ikhine does step in for Julio Jones, he's been targeted a lot. He has 12 targets and 2 starts so far this year and a touchdown. And the Colts have the number 1 rushing DVOA defense, surprisingly, so far this year. So I think it's going to be kind of tough for Derrick Henry in that rushing attack. I'm expecting a lot of play action pass, trying to get that kind of that deep 20 to 30 yard middle of the range field going in the passing game. So at plus 440, like he's a second wide receiver and he's going to be on the field. Like he's played over 82% of snaps in both starts. So at plus 440, this was a no-brainer. This is my favorite pick of the week.
And the one thing that's really nice too is just the Colts have been exposed by wide receivers quite a bit this season.
Yep.
And if they have any type of strategy in them, they're going to want to try to shut down AJ Brown, because AJ has looked fantastic the last 2 weeks. Shout out to Chipotle. But I think with Ikhine, when he gets on the field, he produces. And it's not like Tannehill is just some scrub throwing back there. Like, he can make good, decent passes on the run. And against this defense, I think this is a solid pick, especially at plus 440. So good job by you.
I think there's going to be a ton of touchdowns in this game. Like, I think it's going to be like the over. If you're looking at that, I think both these teams are going to score a lot. And like second wide receiver plus 440. I couldn't believe those odds. Like, I thought this was this kind of too good to be true.
I think as well as the odds makers were kind of maybe trying to save face just in case of Julio Jones played. But yeah, I think he got ruled out earlier in the week. So to be able to still get it at those odds, like that's like tight end 3 odds. Like, you know what I mean? So the fact that you're getting him at that when he's actually going to be on the field for most of it, good job by you. All right, we're going pick number 2. It's going to be an Eagle, Brenden. He scored last week. It's Boston Scott. Anytime touchdown at plus 280. I got it at BetMGM. And against the Lions, I know this might be a tough sell with Jalen Hurts and Kenneth Gainwell, but hear me out. He got the goal line snaps last week when Sanders went down. He's a veteran. I love Kenneth Gainwell, but he's still a rookie. And so it is going to be a running back by committee, in my opinion, in that backfield. And the Lions, we've talked about this in previous shows so much. They've allowed 12 touchdowns of running backs this year. That's the worst in the NFL. And I think Hurts, I think there's a potential that both Hurts, Gainwell, and Scott could all score today, just with the way that they're matching up. And again, decent value at plus 280, because that's typically what Kenneth Gainwell was before Miles Sanders went down. He's around the plus 280 to plus 350 range, depending on the opponent. And now Scott is going to be slotting into that role, and I could see him getting a lot of work. And one of my favorite things about Boston Scott, just looking at last week against the Raiders, when they were down in the fourth quarter, it was like 31-7, I'm pretty sure. He was the one who was getting the goal line carries. He was the one in there when they were getting blown out. So if the public is right and the Lions are going to just roll over the Eagles the way that the money is rolling in is indicating, Boston Scott's going to be out there both in a position of when they're up or when they're down. I just think he's going to be able to play either way. So Boston Scott at plus 280. What are your thoughts on that, Brenden?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to give Gainwell like a lot on his plate. Like, I don't think he's going to step in and just get like 95% of the snaps. Leave it to Nick Sirianni with the game Miles Sanders out. Just give the ball to running backs all game. I can sense it coming. But plus 280, this is a good look. He got all the red zone snaps, like you said last week. He's really good in the red zone. Like, that's kind of where he kind of shines. Like last year, that Giants game, one of the only Eagles wins that they had on Sunday Night Football.
On that game.
Yeah, exactly. He's really good in the red zone. He's like a small guy, kind of fits behind linemen. Yeah, I think it's going to be like a 70, maybe 65-35 split of touches. I don't think Gainwell is going to be like the bell cow here. So yeah, Scott's going to get some looks today.
Well, especially because Gainwell, looking at the odds, Gainwell is the favorite to score in this one amongst all players, both Lions and Eagles. And while I do think he has capability to score, I just think it's difficult to peg a rookie in like that.
Exactly.
Just as a lock, just because he's going to be starting. Because I don't think, and mind you, I'm not as plugged into the Eagles as you are. But is Sirianni really going to be the one who's going to make oh, my computer just I said Siri, and obviously Siri pops up. So all right. Anyway, we're going to move on now to pick number 2, because my computer is now thinking I'm talking about Siri instead of Sirianni. So pick number 2, Brenden, what do you got for week 8?
All right, so I'm going with a guy that's been really good to me so far this year. I'm going Jared Cook at plus 240 on the Chargers. I'm 2 for 2 picking him so far this year, so let's make it 3 for 3. Look, he's a big body tight end that kind of shines in the end zone, or in the red zone. Sorry, him and Herbert seem to have a good connection so far. And my biggest reason why I'm taking this is Belichick likes to take away their best weapon on any team they play. So I think Mike Williams is going to be kind of double teamed. He's going to have bracket coverage. I don't think he's going to be kind of an option in the red zone. So there's not much behind this one. I don't have a lot of stats. Like, the Patriots are pretty good against tight ends. Like, they have a good defense, so it's not like I'm going with that. But at plus 240, like, he's usually around the like plus 210 range when it comes to Sunday Night Football and stuff. I thought this is going to be probably the go-to target in the red zone, just because Belichick would rather you get beat by Jared Cook than like a Mike Williams or Keenan Allen. So at plus 240, like, I couldn't really find a lot at 4 o'clock, so this was kind of just like a plug-in. But I just 2 for 2 already so far this year has been good to me, and he's he's played well so far this year. He hasn't really lived up to his expectations in total in his career, but I still think he's got a lot of talent, and I think Herbert's going to look his way just because I think Williams and Keenan Allen are going to be shut down.
Well, and I think so. Yeah, just if I recap in my head, I think you bet him 3 times and you hit him twice. So, and just the fact in this offense, it is a prolific passing offense. I think that's the overarching thing that we can both agree on is that they're going to try to take away the passing offense, especially with Eckler a little banged up. I think they're going to have to pass even more if they even get down at all. I think Jared Cook is a solid pick. A plus 240. This isn't the Patriots defense that we're thinking of like the early 2000s or even just in Brady's peak. Like it's not as strong, I think, as people are really letting on. And I think that they can score in that instance. So, all right, now we're going to move on to my third pick of the week. It is from the same game. It is a tight end. We're going Hunter Henry, anytime touchdown at plus 300. Got these odds, Brenden, at Bet365. And if you can find a tight end in football that's hotter than Hunter Henry right now, I have yet to find it. He's got touchdowns in 4 straight, all in the red zone. He's nearly doubling the snaps on Jonnu Smith in 2021. So that I think that has settled the debate between who is going to be the fixture in this offense between Jonnu and Hunter Henry. And the Chargers have given up 5 touchdowns to tight ends this season, 4 of them in the red zone. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't at least mention it. It's a revenge game. One of the few times where, and I don't really get caught up in that narrative when it's the case, but I think this is one of the few times where a revenge game is actually applicable because generally when people want to talk about the revenge game part, it's always, this veteran that's been on the team for like 8 to 10 years and is finally coming back and, a little over the hill or, just this couple injuries later. And he's not as performing as highly as he used to. Whereas this is actually somebody who's at probably the top of his game, coming back to a scenario where he's playing a defense that he knows fairly well and a defense that has been prone to giving up touchdowns to tight ends. So again, a touchdown in 5 straight games seems unrealistic just for any player, but at plus 300 against this defense with all the stats lining up and just how he's playing, I had to bet it at plus 300.
Linebackers were the worst part of that Chargers defense as well. And yeah, you said he's been hot. The Patriots offense been like the best offense in the NFL over the last couple of weeks.
He leads the team, I think, in red zone targets, red zone touchdowns. I think actually Jonnu, I think, might actually have him over red zone snaps, which is weird. But again, I don't think it really matters. Like, I just think Hunter Henry is so effective in this offense right now. Like, I can't trust Mac Jones to throw it to Jacoby Myers, and there's no way I'm trusting ever again Nelson Aguilar. So Hunter Henry, I think that's a solid pick at plus 300. That's my third pick of the week for week 8. Brenden, let's hear your third pick of week 8.
All right, Joe, let's get a little crazy here. I'm going back to the 2+ touchdown. Well, we're going again. Joe Mixon, 2+ touchdowns at plus 650. Look, so I did it. I think it was 2 weeks ago. I hit this one against the Lions defense. He did score 1. He didn't get that second one. But we said that Lions trend where they allowed too many touchdowns to running backs, and you obviously took one today with Boston Scott. The Jets defense has been awful against running backs as of late. They've allowed 11 touchdowns, 10 on the ground. And the Bengals run offense has been pretty good so far this year. They've kind of shocked some people. I did not expect them to be this good this early. And I think this game's got blow potential. I think they could get up early, and I think he's going to get a lot of carries and a lot of touches. Look, at plus 650, I thought this was a great odds, and I wanted to get back on our two TD bet, and I thought this was the best one on the board.
Absolutely. And one of the things, too, is when I saw you send that pick in yesterday, I was just looking at different books to see what the odds range was for this prop, and I've seen it as low as plus 400.
Yeah.
And FanDuel right now has the best odds for it at plus 650. I made sure to double check it because I was like, man, that is really high odds for somebody who is playing the best football of his career so far, and especially in an offense that is performing probably higher than expectations than a lot of people have projected this year. So yeah, I love it. I'm riding with that pick too. Like, again, I tail all of Brendan's picks, let's be real, but at the same time, this is one that I generally don't like to bet 2 touchdown scores because so much can happen and it's just really hard to hit. It's just like first touchdown score bets. But with this instance against the Jets, especially with, like, we've seen them just get run over by teams repeatedly. Joe Mixon right now at plus 650. That is great odds.
Yep, agreed.
All right, now we're moving to pick 4. Another bet from the Broncos game. I've taken a Bronco today. I've taken him before. Tim Patrick, anytime touchdown at plus 350. I found these odds also at Bet365. And look, I know people might be worried about wanting to back Tim Patrick or another wide receiver, like Courtland Sutton with Jerry Jeudy coming back. Don't be worried. In 15 games in the lineup together between Tim Patrick and Jerry Jeudy since the start of last year, Patrick has outsnapped Jeudy in every game they played. So it's not like, as highly touted as he was coming out of Alabama, he was not outsnapping and did not have more trust than Tim Patrick does from that coaching staff. And Patrick has 3 touchdowns this season. That's tied with Fant for the team lead. 20 targets in the last 3 games, 4 in the red zone. And just like the Colts of your pick earlier with Akinye, Washington has just been getting killed by wide receivers this year, man. Ranked 31st in touchdowns and receptions allowed to the wide receiver position. And I think this is great value for Patrick as well, because we track the touchdown scorer odds at FTM Bets, what they are week to week. And aside from week 1, when he scored at plus 450, he's been plus 250 or lower every week. So to get him at plus 350, steal of odds for Tim Patrick. So Tim Patrick at plus 350, odds at Bet365. I want him to score today against Washington.
Yeah, Allen Lazard hit for me against that Washington defense last week. They've been terrible against wide receivers. So at these odds, I think it's a great pick. I was looking at Jerry Jeudy. I think he was sitting at like plus 210, plus 220 in this game, but he was kind of like a game time decision and didn't want to risk it. But yeah, Tim Patrick, I think you took him earlier this year, and I looked up a stat. He's led the Broncos in touchdowns over the last 2 years.
Yeah, it's basically him and Fant. And really, I mean, Courtland Sutton, if you're looking just at passes of 20 yards or more, or just looking for kind of those outlier stats, of course, if I could get Courtland Sutton over plus 200, that's the guy I want, because I think he's going to be the focal point of the passing offense. But he's probably around the plus 140, plus 150 range, and that's just not enough value for that, even though I do think he will likely score today. So that's my 4th pick. Brenden, let's hear your 4th pick of week 8.
Okay, so there's been some reports over the last hour that he's now a game time decision. He was Ian Rappaport came out, or Adam Schefter came out yesterday saying that Gronk was 100% going to play. He's sitting at plus 200 right now at FanDuel. I still think he's going to play. I don't really kind of buy these last minute rumors. They need him. Antonio Brown's out. I think he's going to give it all he's got. And at plus 200, he's never in that range. He's always in kind of the mid 100s, and Brady's going to be looking his way. He needs help in this game. Saints defense is playing very, very well. Marshawn Lattimore is going to kind of shut down Mike Evans on one side of the ball. So it's going to be
settle down.
Hey, he's playing really well. Marshawn Lattimore has been kind of
they're both playing really well. If we're going to be fair. I mean, one guy had 3 touchdowns the week before. Last week, I mean, DK Metcalf, other than that slip and then run for the touchdown, he didn't do anything the rest of the game. So yeah, no, you're right.
So I think he's going to have to look his way, and look, he's probably begging to get back on that field. He's missed the past few games. Yeah, I kind of just saw it on all over my Twitter feed that he's a game time decision, but he said he was going to play all week at plus 200. This is a no brainer. This was kind of
I think he's going to play.
Yeah.
And I think the one thing that I would say too is that he's been a game time decision the last 2 weeks. So I think it was right up coming up into that game against the Eagles. I thought he was going to play, and then he obviously sat out, and I take Cameron Brate, and I look like an idiot when he doesn't score. But even this most previous week, he was supposed to play, and they're like, nah, let's just keep him out for a little bit longer. This game, I think he's legitimately going to play, because this is the game that they need to have, because if they lose to the Saints, there's only a 1-game difference now in the division lead, and then the Saints also have the win over them if that's the case. So this is a much more important game for Tampa than the odds and spreads would let on.
Agreed.
So I agree with you with that 4th pick. If you can get Gronk at plus 200, a trusted target by Tom Brady, you have to take it. So I'm going to be taking a tight end with my final pick as well, Brenden. And we laughed when we saw these odds because we couldn't believe that he was available at this price. And it's Tyler Higbee at anytime touchdown at plus 210. And these odds are right now, I checked just before the show, are still available at BetMGM. Here's the deal. He's only scored twice this season, but he's top of the line for all the good stats. He's 2nd on the team in red zone targets. He's the only tight end on the team that plays like a 95% snap rate. If Stafford finally actually looks elsewhere other than Cooper Kupp, who has just been killing the league right now, Higbee's going to get the ball. And the Texans cannot stop tight ends. We joke about what the Lions can do against running backs. The Texans have just been getting killed by tight ends. 6 touchdowns in 7 games. all to 6 different tight ends. It's the worst in the NFL. And the only team that didn't allow a tight end to score against them when the Texans played them was the Cleveland Browns, which is like super ironic because of the amount of tight ends that they have, like of David Njoku and Austin Hooper. So, and looking at the odds, just a full slate of odds for Rams players like Cooper Kupp and Darrell Henderson, you're getting them at minus odds. Like you don't even want to bet them. And Woods, if you could get him at better than plus 110, maybe you would, but he's around plus 100 to plus 110 at every book that I've looked at. So this is the best value on the board for a Los Angeles Ram to score today, especially against a defense that has been just getting exposed by tight ends this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's got to be kind of every week so far we've looked at it. Whoever's playing the Texans, find that tight end. If it's good enough odds, you take it. Now he was sitting at like plus 116 in a lot of books earlier this week, and you got him at plus 210. That's a steal, man.
Yeah, at BetMGM, and that was the thing is that that's why it pays to have multiple books. It pays to kind of just be shopping around and making sure you're getting the best odds. Mm-hmm. Because a guy like Higbee, you're right, he's around the plus 160 range, maybe even plus 170 at certain books. And then a book like BetMGM is just laying a plus 210 line, and I'm like a moth to the flame. I'm going to that right away. Yep. All right, so that is my final pick. That's 5 picks for me for the 1 p.m. Eastern and 4 p.m. Eastern games. Now, Brenden, week 8, take us home. What's your final pick?
All right, my last pick is going to be Brandon Ayuk at plus 250 on FanDuel. Look, the Chicago Bears, their pass defense has been awful as of late. They cannot stop the pass. They have allowed a touchdown to a wide receiver, I believe, in like 7 straight games, 8 straight games, or basically since week 2. Look, Jimmy Garoppolo and Brandon Ayuk have a connection. Like I'm not the biggest Jimmy G fan, but I think that's kind of like his go-to. Whenever Jimmy G has started, he's been kind of looking his way, and I think this 49ers team kind of has like a little bit of a chip on their shoulder now. They got to win some football games. They're going to kind of throw everything at Chicago. This is a must win for them. And look, he is second on the team in red zone targets so far this year. At plus 250, this is the best wide receiver option, I believe, of the week that's in that plus 200 range. So sign me up with this one.
Yeah, and the one thing that's difficult about the Niners is Debo gets so much of the target share. So it's difficult to quantify the Trent Sherfields of the world and Jawan Johnson, or that's maybe a different player. But the point is that there's only so many wide receivers on the team.
They have 2, Debo and Ayuk. That's it.
Yeah, and then week 1 and week 2, and then also this past week against the previous week as well. Like when they're playing, you've seen them that Jimmy G is looking for. When Trey is out on the field, I don't know where he's looking half the time. Yeah. So Debo to a lesser extent, but it's difficult to kind of check where guys' tendencies are in such a small sample size. So Jimmy, really, since he's been on the team, even just last year and then this year as well, he always looks to Ayuk. He scored for me in week 2 or week 3. I can't remember when they hosted the Packers in primetime. That was the one where I had Kyle Juszczyk and whatever else too. So I had a really good game that one. But again, at the plus 250 range, that's a solid bet for a team that surprisingly, like the Bears, are heavily being bet on today to win. Like a lot of people I speak to are taking the money line because of Nagy not being there. More so, which is kind of funny. Like it just, but it's such a role reversal for the Bears. And
this is kind of season saving, right? Like whoever loses this game, they're in trouble, right? I think.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a loser leaves town game, in my opinion. And not to say that the Bears haven't already left. I kind of feel like their 3 wins were a little fluky this year anyway. But I know a lot of people as well are probably on Justin Fields under passing yards as well, just because it's that probably like plus 220, plus 210 range, and he hasn't topped 200 yards yet in a start. So, all right, well, that's our 10 picks for week 8. 5 picks from me, 5 picks from Brenden. We'll see you next Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern on BetsTV with Touchdown Town. Tonight's matchup between the Vikings and Cowboys, not exactly a big fan of the matchup, especially with Dak on the mend. I will have some touchdown score picks coming out later today for that game, so make sure to check out my Twitter account for that. Head over to FTM Bets if you want to have an early look at those. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at GDog5000. Follow Brenden at Brenden Deeg NFP. Thank you for watching Touchdown Town for Week 8. I'm Gilles Gallant with BetsTV. Bon chance.